Hi everyone, this is a pick a card reading for why did he/she walk away. So this is the nature of the reading, and we have these fun sort of googly eyes, but obviously we're really going to get to the point and see why this person has chosen to walk away, and also what other messages come through with it as well. So whichever group you feel most drawn to, that's going to be the reading for you. So we have here this set up with the Eight of Cups on top, because Eight of Cups is also a card that has the meaning of walking away. That's not everything that this card means though, but I thought that, whichever Eight of Cups card you feel most drawn to, or maybe it's a number of the groups, so we have group 1, 2 and 3, whichever one you are most drawn to is going to be the reading for you. And then in the timestamps in the description box below, you will be able to get the number for the timestamp of the reading. You can click on it and it will take you to your reading for why did he/she walk away. So that is pretty much how this reading is going to work. I also want to mention as well, if you would like to win a free reading with me, definitely do check out the description box below, since I do give away every single month. If you would like to purchase a private paid reading, information is also in the description box below. They're done within 24 to 48 hours. And the last thing I want to mention is that my intention bracelets are also on Etsy as well. So I'm wearing the throat chakra bracelet, which is to do with communication, and it's also to do really with activating that blue chakra. So they are really they're very potent because they're meditated with, they're saged, and if you want to see how these bracelets work and the results that other people have seen, please do check out my Etsy shop link. Link will be down below. Also, I have a Patreon as well where I post exclusive content on there, meditations, mantras for the month as well. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, everything is always in the description box below. Alright, so let's get straight into this reading. We're going to first of all start with group number 1, and what I am going to do is I do have some other things, other cards on the side here, so I'm just going to move those a little bit, and then we're just going to move these to the side as well. The googly eyes. Let's just put those down there. Alright, so group number 1, let's have a look and see why did he/she walk away. We've got this really beautiful deck of cards. It's actually a new deck of cards. I think they launched in 2019. It's called the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. It's very beautiful. I'm just mentioning it in case anyone is wondering what the cards are. And I'm going to start by shuffling these. We are essentially going to do sort of a nice big 12 card spread, and we're really going to go through each of those cards, and I'm going to give you information as to, again, why he or she has walked away. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just going to do this, and we're going to start shuffling. They have been cleansed and saged as well, so they are ready to go. And that's what the back of them look like, just in case you are curious. Strength card. Ooh, we knocked out that googly eye. Tower. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling very strong energy to begin with, which is to do with their strength and their self-confidence. That's definitely something that's really coming through. Let's put these last in the spread. So we have strength. Let's do the ones that I can actually see at the bottom first. Strength, the Tower, 5 of Pentacles, 4 of Swords, Rest. Very interesting. We've got the Empress, ruled by Venus, let's not forget. We have 5 of Wands, which is conflict and chaos. You've got 2 5s here. Now, the other thing I do want to mention is that 5s in tarot represent change. So take that as you want to take it. Okay, so that's what we've got there. These cards do move around a lot more than the other cards that I have, that's for sure. You could just touch them and they'll just sort of go in a different direction. 8 of Wands. I feel like that, what I just said about the cards sort of represents this person in many ways. Like you could say something and it's almost like they are so sensitive at times that they could just take it the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I touch this card, it just directly impacts the one next to it, and the cards, the slightest of touch and they just move. And I feel like that's the case with the person as well. I know it sounds really bizarre and it's like, yeah, but that's just how the cards work. But I actually feel like that has a message really relating to this particular person, and how you could say one thing and it could kind of just spiral and trigger into another thing, or one thing that you say could affect how they see everything in the situation. So there's this sort of domino effect that I'm really picking up on as to why they have walked away. It's like the simplest of thing could have really, impacted them and their thinking and their way of thinking in regards to you, which I think is really sad. But it also points to a root cause and a root issue as to why they are feeling this way and why they are feeling so heightened to this level, which of course we're going to talk about here. And we've actually got all of the cards. Have we? Yeah, we've got all of the cards here. So I'm just going to put the deck to the side. Actually, I might just put it down here and put it away, but I will put this entire spread together and then we will talk about all of these things that are really coming through in the reading as well. So we've got the 8 of Wands, we have the 7 of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, 2 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. If there's one thing we need to note here, wow, gosh, they just move by the slightest of touch. If there's one thing to note here, it's that this person really does, in many ways, still have feelings for you and love you. And I don't say that lightly. I really don't. I wouldn't say it unless I really saw it in the cards. And I feel like you can also see it here. We see it with the Empress, of course, ruled by Venus. We see it with the Ace of Pentacles, which is about, still wanting to give you something, wanting to give you perhaps even closure or some form of communication. The 2 of Cups here shows also love. And the other card is this 6 of Pentacles, which is still about wanting to give something mutual, wanting to clarify things. It's a very equal and mutual type of energy. And so that's what I'm really picking up with this card as well. It's a strong energy, to say the least. So let's first and foremost start with the Strength card. Okay, so we'll go through each of these cards, but I've sort of given you the general basis, but we're really going to dig very, very deep now as to, what's going on. So Strength, of course, is ruled by Leo, and I feel like they had to take this action by walking away to understand themselves at a better level. I feel very strongly that this person knows that they have things that they need to work on. They know the ways in which they need to control certain things that they do. They know they need to can't even speak. They know they need to essentially work through those things and they need to become stronger. It's definitely something that is coming through very, very strong in the cards. And, the Strength card here is also showing that they need to tame their fears. So one of the reasons why I feel they walked away is because of their own self-confidence, self-esteem, and some form of fear that they have. This fear could also be the fear of falling, and falling really deep and hard for you, but also feeling failure. That maybe, what if this ends? It would be really difficult for me to endure. I don't think I'd be able to endure it, and their fears essentially got the best of them. That's what I'm really picking up on, because the 5 of Pentacles also shows this energy that they are kind of fearful and sad when they're in their own energy. They don't want to be alone. They want companionship. They want that joy. They don't want to miss out. This person does have the fear of missing out. I do want to mention that, because this card specifically, especially in traditional tarot as well, this card represents something happening inside the church, and then these two people here are left out in the cold. And I feel very strongly that they don't want to be left out in the cold, but they know that they have to work through things, and the reason why they walked away is essentially because they are so scared. They're scared that if they fell really hard, fast, and deep in love in this situation, that it would really hurt them. It's almost like they got out, in that sense. Have they had love for you? Do they have love for you? Absolutely. This person still thinks about you in many, many ways, but it's like they're trying to protect themselves. It's that defense mechanism that's really come through, and that's what I'm seeing. Even for those of you that are perhaps, you've been together with this person for a while, or maybe if this is a new person, regardless of what the situation is, they've tried to protect themselves, and that's one of the biggest reasons why they've walked away, is because they're trying to understand themselves. This person also knows that you deserve a lot more than what they can give you, because how they see it is they can only give you sort of 50%, not maybe 100% like you would deserve and that you would need, because the Empress here shows recognition. It shows that they recognise that you need a lot more in this situation, and they also recognise that they can't give you that. Their cup is not overflowing at this very point in time where they can fully trust themselves. Remember, I said trust themselves. It's not that they don't trust you, they don't trust themselves. And I think that that's a really important thing sometimes to consider, is that not everybody feels the same way that we do, if that makes sense. So of course, if we're ready for something, we're willing to give, we're willing to fall hard and be emotionally expressive or open, it doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is already on that same page and that same wavelength. No pun intended, obviously, there's a page of cups here, but it can cause that sort of energy. Right, so that's really what I'm seeing, is that the main reason this person walked away is because they are very, very much so fearful that if they were able to build this tower up with you and build something really strong and better with you, and the more time went by, they would just, be totally sort of invested, but the more invested they get into it, the more they are scared. And I think that that's, it's kind of sad to say that, but at the same time that's how they feel. But then they also feel the more invested they get in it and the more they can't handle it, the harder this tower would crumble. So they feel like they've done a favour essentially by walking away now than staying in the situation, building up things even more, and then leaving. It would be harder for you, and it would also be harder for them. They do think about themselves a lot in this situation, but I also feel like they have taken a small percentage of your emotions and you into consideration as well. Even though it may not feel like it, they have in some way, because they're trying to protect you from also, if things had progressed more with you, essentially, it would be harder for you as well. So that's what I'm seeing there. But regardless, you do have these two fives, and as I mentioned, fives in tarot are about change. This person, even though they have walked away from the situation and they feel this way in the situation, they still have love for you, and I feel like that's something that's not really ever going to go away. And the reason I say that is because it shows chaos and conflict now, but this chaos and conflict, this sadness and this loneliness, it does come to an end because of that change that we're seeing. The other thing as well is that as time progresses, they get stronger, right? The stronger they get, the more they're not in the same situation and the place that they are in now, right? So they're handling things, or they have handled things very, very differently in this situation where they have just found it too intense, they've walked away. They're not going to handle it like that forever, right? As they become stronger, they will find different ways to handle the situation better. They're not going to get overwhelmed to the point where they walk away. So it shows that they're going to get stronger to the point where this will not be repeated. And also the Four of Swords here is showing rest. They're taking time for themselves. They want to feel stronger, they want to feel better, they want to feel more energized. The Four of Swords also shows that when they're in their own space, right? So for example, first thing before they go to sleep, first thing when they wake up, they do think about you, and they do think about how they want to be much more stable. Fours in tarot are also about foundations. So again, it's about building that foundation to be able to make something last. The Tower is structurally not the best in terms of its foundation because it can just crumble, right? It just crumbles at a crack. A crack shows and the thing is already shaking. So they know that they need to build a strong foundation before they build something really quickly. And that is their main focus. That's what they really want to do. And that's also what I feel they need to do as well. It's a very strong sort of energy in regards to that. So that's what we're picking up there. Seven of Pentacles here is really very, very strongly showcasing an energy of, again, growth. You know, they know that they need to get to a place that is much, much better for them emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and even socially. They know that they need to really get to a point where they are growing and not necessarily running away from things or feeling extremely overwhelmed to the point where they just end things. You know, they want to be able to also fight through things, but they also want to make sure that they have that fighting spirit. They don't have that fighting spirit when they walked away, all right? So this person definitely has a lot to learn. I feel like this person needs more maturity as well. And remember, maturity is something that, yes, we can build on with experience, but some people are just naturally much more mature than others. Age doesn't necessarily matter, although age does have that correlation with experience, you know, so the older we get, yes, we do realise a lot more, we do mature as we get older, but you'll find some really young people who are already very, very mature. So, you know, maturity is one of those things where you can have it, or it's something that you build on as time goes by and as you go through more experiences. And that's what I'm seeing, regardless of this person's age, is that maturity is something that they build on. It's not just something that they sort of naturally have, if that makes sense. It's something that, you know, even with experience, those that are naturally very mature, you know, they get stronger in terms of their maturity and they understand things and know how to deal with things a little bit better as the experience goes by. So this person specifically is someone that, you know, with time, they become much more mature, they become much more aware of their pattern, their behaviour, how to work sort of through things and how they can develop to get to that level. So, you know, even whilst they are taking care of themselves, they're learning about their growth, they're growing step by step, every day, a little bit here and there, and that's what I'm seeing, right? This is about growth, it's about reflection, it's about progress on what's happened. And then we've got the Eight of Wands, which again shows that, you know, the reason why they moved away from the situation, right? You see those wands, it's just moving in a completely different direction here. This is really showcasing that it was because they felt that this was the right thing for them to do emotionally. Again, they did not want to give you a half full glass. They wanted to give you a glass that is 100% full, okay? Not half full. There's always that debate, isn't there, whether the glass is half empty or half full. I always believe that it's half full. And for some reason, I feel like this person also, you know, would see it as sort of half full because they want to give you 100%, right? So anyways, it's just, you know, it's something I'm seeing. But we also know here as well, with that sort of Venus-like energy of the Empress, that this person does respect you. This person thinks that you're very mature, you're very kind, you're very giving, you're much more stable and much more mature than they are. And the reason why they walked away is because they know that they are the ones that sort of have things to work through. They're the ones that need to find that stability and make that foundation really work. It's not necessarily your fault, if that makes sense, but they also wanted to protect you as well. So there's an energy of protection. There is an energy of really wanting to make sure that, you know, they can work on themselves, but also they did somehow take you into consideration. It may feel like they didn't, but there's a little percentage of it. It may not be the biggest percentage, but it's still there. All right, so that's really what I'm seeing there. I know it can be hard to believe at times, right, that, okay, did this person really take me into consideration? But I do see it, and it can be hard to see it, but it is there. Also, Ace of Pentacles here is really showcasing again that this person really did want to build things with you. It's their fear and the fact that they're just not 100% stable and where they want to be. It's what took them away from that, but they still would want to be with you once they become much more stable. Because the thing is, you know, sometimes when we don't feel so good about ourselves and things that we are doing, it can take us away from certain things and it can make us feel perhaps not so great. But what I am seeing is that in an ideal world, this person would want to be with you once they're much more stable, because they would be able to understand themselves much more, they would be a lot happier within themselves, and that would also boost them to feel good. You know, if we don't feel good within ourselves, it's hard for us to concentrate on other things and feel good about other things, because we have this sort of root issue, and to work through that root issue and to feel good about other things, right, in our life, we want to get through to that and work on it first. And that's what I'm seeing, is that this person still has consideration for you. This person still has that sort of thought towards you, but they have things that they need to work on. And that's really what's sort of taking up the situation. Two of Cups, see? This person still has love for you, especially with the Empress energy. You've got the Six of Pentacles, which is about balance. It really is about them, again, wanting to make things work with you, wanting to make things really progress with you as well. And this really is about wanting to give you what you give them. I feel like you have given this person a lot more than they gave you. And that's the thing, is that, again, it has to be equal, it has to be mutual. Connections have to be that way, otherwise you are draining yourself, you're giving way too much, and it needs to be mutual, right? And that's what this person's realised, is that it really wasn't very mutual. They were not able to give you as much as you were giving them, and they didn't feel like that was fair on you, right? So they did take you somewhat into consideration, and they felt like, you know, they had to sort of exit the situation in that sense. And even the Page of Cups, you know, shows that they tried to take you into consideration. It may feel like they didn't take your feelings into consideration, because the Page of Cups can be, you know, one of those energies where it might feel like it was just emotionally not a good thing to do, but they tried to, a little bit, right? A little bit. It's not a King of Cups, it's not a Knight of Cups, it is the Page of Cups, so it's a little bit. They took a little bit of your emotions into consideration, but this is essentially why he or she decided to walk away from you in this situation. So that is what we have for this reading, and if this resonates with you, then definitely let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and definitely do check out all the information in the description box below if you are interested in, you know, private paid readings, the free reading giveaway which you can enter for, you know, my bracelets and all that good stuff. That is very much so all in the description box. And now I'm going to move on to group number 2. So I'm just going to take away these cards. And the googly eyes. Alright, so group number 2, we're going to have a look and see, why did he/she walk away? So that's the main question for this reading. We're going to do a 12 card spread. This is a Rider-Waite deck, and it's sort of like a special edition one. I know I get lots of questions on cards, that's just why I'm mentioning it, and it has this kind of a back to it. These are a lot smaller as well, a little compact and mini, so it is Rider-Waite, that's what the illustrations are. So let's have a look, let's do a full 12 card spread and see, why did he/she walk away? Okay, so let's begin. Oh, there we go, better. Why did he/she walk away? Well, isn't that interesting? We've got the Sun and the Moon. We've got counterparts here. Okay, so that is definitely a very interesting combination right there. We've got here the Magician, Major Arcanas, 3 in a row. Got the 9 of Cups, 5 of Wands, 2 of Cups, Knight of Cups, Ace of Wands, 8 of Wands, Strength card, Hanged Man, Ace of Swords, and the Chariot. The answer is pretty clear here, and I know that it may sort of not be exactly what you want to hear, but I sort of do have to give the truth here. So, you know, the thing is that this person was very confused in terms of making this decision. So, you know, it was not a light decision to make, but they felt nonetheless that they really needed to make this decision. And that decision was essentially to move on to newer things. So they naturally, I feel, walked away, even though it was a difficult decision. I feel like this person actually was sort of thinking about things for just a little bit, and they thought to themselves, you know, if I am really confused in this particular situation, maybe I should just, you know, move forward and move on and see how I feel doing that. So naturally then they decided to move forward and move on. So I feel that there was some confusion here, and I feel like there was some form of intensity in this connection because you've got the sun and the moon. So this shows that actually there could have been sort of this spiritual connection between the two of you that may have got very, very intense, which leads them to really think that this connection is maybe too much, it's too chaotic, there's too much going on, there's too much happening. So it's very, very, very normal that actually that can happen in a spiritual connection. You know, people do get very intensely overwhelmed in spiritual connections, and it leads them to feel like this. And when they feel like this, they might actually think to themselves, is it too much? Is everything that's going on in this connection just a little bit too much? You know, is it supposed to be this intense? Is it supposed to be easier? That's, you know, things that they ask themselves. And the reason I say spiritual connection is because we've got the Hanged Man, right? Hanged Man is ruled by Neptune. This energy is really very, very strong, strongly aligning us to sort of a twin flame and a soulmate connection so much. I can't even tell you. I really can't tell you. I mean, I can tell you, but I can't tell you how much I keep seeing twin flame, soulmate in my mind. I'm seeing blue and red, which blue and red is the colour of, I mean, attraction and a magnet. When I think of a magnet, I think blue and red. Even though most magnets, they are, you know, black and they just stick on the fridge. But no, I'm seeing like a traditional sort of magnet where it's red and it's blue and there's attraction there. Red and blue is also the colour of hot and cold in many ways as well. So it's just what I'm seeing in my mind. Bear with me. I get so many messages coming through in my head, and I'm trying to tell you everything that I can see in this situation. The moon is also about hot and cold, but also when you've got the sun and the moon, that shows hot and it also shows cold, but the moon and the sun are counterparts. Do you see what I mean here? So that's the sort of contradiction and the confusion and the chaos that this person was feeling. They were feeling on one hand that it's so intense and maybe it's just meant to be, and then on the other hand they're thinking, wait a second, it's so intense and it almost feels just too much. You know, is that too good to be true, and is that too much? And there's just conflict here. Okay, conflict for some of you may have led into arguments. It may have led into disagreements. Oh my gosh, it's snowing outside. Okay, that's really unexpected. That is so unexpected. That's kind of cool though. Anyway, so it was not snowing a second ago. It was kind of sunny outside. You see what I mean? Hot and cold. It's just so strange. I wish I could show you outside, but it just resembles the reading, doesn't it? So that's really what I'm seeing here, is that I'm really seeing that this person walked away because they felt this hot and cold energy, and essentially, you know, they thought maybe it's just too much, maybe I should walk away, you know, see what else is going on, and essentially finding that answer in space. So that's what I'm seeing, not space as in, you know, space up there with the universe, obviously, space as in, you know, trying to take time for themselves and maybe even exploring sort of other options. I know that doesn't sound like something you want to hear, but trust me, sometimes the universe does things where someone has to go and explore their options to then realise that what they had, which was really amazing for them, was there all along. And that's what I'm seeing is really with the Strength card as well. They want to better understand their situation. They want to better understand what else is going on, how they feel. Nine of Cups is really about them trying to evaluate all their feelings, trying to evaluate everything that's also happened in the situation, and trying to evaluate whether walking away was the right thing to do or not. Remember that we had the Eight of Cups at the top of this pile, right? And the Eight of Cups in many ways does signify walking away from something, okay? So 8 to the 9, even though we don't have the Eight of Cups in this spread, 8 to the 9 here shows that progression, having then walked away and then reflecting upon it. So that's really what I'm seeing, is that they have walked away because of this entire reason, and then comes a reflection phase where I do feel that they will then perhaps explore their options. They may even come across a karmic person, all right? Someone that's been brought into their life to teach them certain lessons, to make them realize, just how strong I feel that this connection actually was in many ways. Because even though there's a very hot and cold energy, I feel that they do have depth of emotions towards you, which have been hidden in many ways just because of a lot of this hot and cold energy. So again, they have strong feelings towards you. The moon is about hidden feelings, okay? And I really feel that they have strong feelings for you than they let onto themselves. But because of all this sort of chaos, it really got hidden amongst all of that. And they thought that the better option was to walk away and to explore options, and to perhaps go towards someone else, see how it works with someone else, and to really truly, with the Ace of Wands, explore that, right? So the Chariot here is about moving on, progressing on from the situation, emotionally maybe trying to explore another situation and seeing how that felt in comparison. So the Ace of Swords is about acknowledgement. It is sort of this comparison sort of energy where you've got these two Sphinx, and it's about trying to progress and see what else happened. I know that doesn't sound like the best thing in the world, but that's sort of what I'm seeing here. Especially with the Strength card, they want to become stronger. This person does have the long term in the back of their mind, especially when you've got the Magician with the Infinity symbol, you've got the Strength card with the Infinity symbol. That does indicate somewhat the long term element of things that they have in the back of their sort of mind. And then the Eight of Wands here shows them, really sort of progressing on, but also that the spiritual connection really doesn't leave them in the process. It's something that, if anything, it makes them realise that there is really something here. And wow, this is confusing, isn't it? But it just seems to, the puzzle pieces just seem to go together as well. It's just one of those readings where it just all mashes, if that makes any sense. I mean, the Sun really shows here that they felt that the best thing for them was to walk away from the situation and perhaps onto something much smoother, much more flowing, something that can just kind of grow without intensity, if that makes sense. But I mean, we do need that intensity sometimes in our life, but for them, they felt like maybe this was too much. And it is true, thing is, spiritual connections tend to be extremely intense, and they do tend to sometimes bring out, a lot of energies that we don't like, and that is sort of what we have here. So they thought by walking away and sort of leaving this connection, that maybe they could find something that was maybe a little bit more radiant, in the sense that it was just easier, it was better maybe, but that's really what I'm seeing, especially with the moon as well. It really is about being unclear in terms of thoughts. It's about sort of that hot and cold energy, because the moon is going through cycles and phases. And again, it does show that they have strong feelings towards you. But again, a lot of that got very much so hidden amongst all this hot and cold energy. And it also shows them being quite unclear in many ways as well. Unclear about themselves too. And again, the moon also shows sort of these hidden sort of secrets in terms of how they felt. They may not have actually expressed that to you. You may not have 100% closure on why they truly walked away. And the Magician shows them trying to manifest something new, mainly to do with the growth, right? So again, they feel like maybe there's something out there that would just grow really easily. And I do feel that this person in many ways took this particular connection for granted. They just expected it to be sort of a lot easier in that sense. And the thing is, with spiritual connections and any relationship, trust me, is not easy. Even the most publicly the highest profile relationships that we see, even in the media, they are not perfect in any way, shape, or form. Even though you may see them all, perfect, it's never perfect, because we never know what's happening behind closed doors. And I feel like this person here thinks that things should be much easier, which I can sort of understand, because spiritual connections, things are quite crazy. But the magician here is really very, very strongly showcasing that, again, they really thought that sort of they could manifest things with somebody else and it might be easier. Magician's all about communication as well. So again, they feel it's difficult sometimes to communicate certain things with you. And there's that sort of heightened emotional element that comes into things. So the magician here is really showcasing that they want easier communication with someone as well, and that's also one of the reasons why they did walk away. They're just thinking that things would be easier in that sense, and things would be maybe more flowing and would grow a lot quicker. Maybe, with someone else it would just flow and it wouldn't be as intense. It's the intensity more than anything that really does get to them, and I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why they have truly decided to exit and walk away from the situations, because the intensity was just too much. So especially with the Ace of Wands, it's interesting because on one hand they, feel like things are too intense, and on the other hand they're still trying to manifest something here with someone else, because they are trying to figure out whether things could grow quickly with someone else. It's just, honestly, it's bizarre, and I feel like this is them being, again, very conflicted and very chaotic. It's a very sort of two-sided energy, as you can see, and it is because I feel, again, we've got the angel there as well. It's a lot. And I feel like they walked away because of the intensity of the spiritual connection, and they're thinking, okay, well, the intensity will be much easier maybe with someone else. They're just thinking in very, very interesting ways. Let's just put it down to that, okay? It's confusing me as well, literally, as I'm reading for you. So the Strength card, they definitely need to tame their fears, and they definitely will become a lot stronger from this. Again, I'm just looking at these two cups with this cup here, and I keep seeing sort of like the three. Three of Cups is karmic, so as I mentioned before as well, I feel like that's linking to it now. It's a karmic person that gets sort of brought into their life to make them realise that no relationship is ever going to be 100% simple and easy, and that essentially it takes two to tango and two to make things work. And the Strength card here, again, showing that they will become stronger, they will tame those fears, and they will realise that sometimes intensity can be a good thing. And it's what sort of proves that there's something there, if that makes any sense, rather than having intensity with just very easy flow. That's very different, so that's something that's really coming through, and this person's also going to spiritually awaken more and more as time progresses as well. So that's what the Hangman is showing, is that it's the spiritual intensity of things that really made them walk away. They just got really confused and chaotic, and they just made that decision, and that's essentially, ultimately, that's what I'm seeing. And again, that can be, really challenging and difficult and annoying to understand, but it is what I'm seeing here as well. And also the Ace of Swords here showing that they sort of cut this situation out, perhaps feeling victorious, like it was the right thing to do, but also it also shows a search, right? Searching for something, and that search for something they won't be able to find in someone else. It really stems from themselves, and that's what they're really going to realise, is that crown actually belongs on top of their head. They don't need to find that in someone else, they actually just need to find it in themselves. So a lot of this is stemming from themselves and perhaps their insecurities, and that's really what I'm seeing. And the reason, again, why they really moved away is because of this spiritual connection. The Sphinx at the bottom there represent yin and yang, and it was something that I did a lot of research on. So much research on that. But yes, it is very much so yin and yang, and that's what I'm seeing here, is spiritual connection that overwhelmed them to the point where the intensity of it was just too much, and they made that decision to progress away from it. And that's why this person has very much so walked away, which it's unfortunate, but it's also their doing. And I also feel, again, with that sort of karmic energy coming through, that they will come to later regret this. They really will, but also that they were not as strong in the situation to realise what they had sort of binned, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm seeing, and I do have a feeling there will be a return from this person at some point, coming back into your life. And trust me, it's your choice if you accept or reject this person. We definitely got a lot of information out, right, as to why did he or she walk away, but we also answered lots of other questions as well, like if this person's going to return, what this person feels, is this person interested in another person? You know, we answered a lot of questions. This person's going to be sort of searching, you know, to try and make things work with another person, which will end up being a karmic. That's sort of what I'm seeing. But yeah, that's what we have on the cards. So this is your reading. It's never an easy reading to do readings like this, but I want you to feel good about yourself and your own energy. Do not blame yourself in this situation. You really haven't been anything but good. That's what I'm seeing. And if this reading resonates with you, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And definitely do check out the description box below for information on the private paid readings, free reading giveaway, and my bracelets, which are on Etsy. And I hope you have an absolutely lovely day or night wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. And please, please, please do take care of yourself as well. Alright, so group number 2, that's your reading. I'm going to take these cards away and then we are going to get started with group number 3. Okay, so I'm just going to put these away. Alright, so group number 3, this is your reading for why did he/she walk away. So we're going to have a look, see what's coming through. I'm going to do a full 12 card spread and we're going to have a look as to why this person walked away, and also there may be lots of other additional messages that come through as well. It's snowing outside, it's really cold in the UK. It's so bizarre. It was not snowing a while ago. So this is the deck that you have chosen. Of course, there is quite a cold energy coming through from this as well, because it is to do with someone walking away. I wish I could send you a virtual hug. You know, it's something I want to do right now. So this deck here is the Golden Universal deck, just for those of you that are wondering. And we're going to get straight into this reading. I know it's not the nicest of perhaps sort of energies, but I want to give you that clarity. I want to give you what I'm seeing, and I want to give you a virtual hug. That's also something I want to do. Alright, so let's get started. And hopefully this gives you that clarity and that information. I really hope it does, as to why did he/she walk away. 2 of Pentacles. So I'm going to get all of the, wow, that was loud. I'm going to get all of the cards out first, and then we will talk about them all. Okay, so 2 of Pentacles. We've got the 10 of Cups, King of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles. Stuck in their own ways. That's definitely something that's coming through, and we've got a lot of blue and red in these cards as well, and blue and red to me shows hot and cold energy, and it also showcases, it's contradictory, okay, it's contradictory because it's also showing a magnetic connection and attraction, and that's something that's also coming through. So we will get onto the reading, but I'm just telling you that straight away, just by looking at these cards, that's kind of energy that I'm really seeing. Oh my gosh, you can't make this up. I was literally talking about how it's snowing outside, which is exactly how it is outside the window. And you've got here the 5 of Pentacles, which is about being left out in the cold, feeling cold, right? And you've got snow. That is literally how the snow looks like outside my window. I am not even making this up. Whew! Whoa. That's insane. Oh my gosh. And my window also has 3 sort of sections, compartments. My window literally looks like this as well. Anyways, That is so crazy. The other thing I'm seeing, actually, I know I was going to get all the cards out to begin with, but there's a link here from the 4 to the 5 of swords. So whilst you feel like you've been left out in the cold, this person inside this particular place is actually sort of resting. You see that? We've got the window here, and this is the outside. So this is inside, this is outside, this is them, and this is you. Oh, wow. Okay. So let's just get the other cards out. We've got the 3 of Cups. Okay, got all of the cards come out. Ace of Wands. Queen of Swords. And the Page of Cups. Going to ask you a pretty strong question right now. Is there a person around this person? So the person that walked away from you, is there another person around them? Because I feel like there is a karmic person that is surrounding them. And to be honest, I wouldn't worry about karmic people, because essentially what they are there for in people's life is to teach them lessons, you know, and to really make them realise certain things. So those things can be that the karmic is not necessarily, you know, the best person for them, that there's better out there for them, and that essentially a karmic person makes the person also grow stronger to realise what they actually deserve and things like that. A karmic person is not necessarily a long-term person, so that is something that I do want to mention as well, and I wouldn't really worry about this, but that is a question I do want to ask you, is there another person around them? Because it could potentially be that they are talking to another person, or that they have been involved with another person, especially for those of you that have been in a situation where there's been cheating and things like that, alright? It's not going to apply to everybody. I do want to mention that it is one of those things that I am seeing here, is that they may have walked away from you because of cheating, lying, perhaps, you know, they've been talking to another person for a while. It's something along the lines of that is coming through. Now, if there has been no person around them at all, it could be that they have sort of been thinking maybe it's easier to just walk away from the situation and try something else. So I know that's really hard to say, and I know that so many of your hearts may have just dropped, but I do want to say something, all right? I do want to say something. This is nothing but a karmic person and karmic situation, all right? And what I mean by that is, again, this situation, the reason why they've walked away has been brought in by the universe. It's been brought in for a very specific purpose, to make them realize your worth. King of Pentacles, this is your worth, okay? They thought maybe it's easier to walk away from the situation. Maybe they felt like they just couldn't handle the situation, okay? This person has been very stuck in their own ways, wanting things their own way, that when it doesn't happen their own way, they do find it a lot easier to sort of just move away, to retreat away from a situation, and to progress towards the other side, if that makes any sense. So that's really what I'm seeing, okay? But you see how we have a lot of blue and red, especially in some of this reading? The reason for that really is because, again, there's this magnetic attraction where I feel very, very, very strongly that there is some form of a connection here that just drags the two of you together again. And that's really what I'm seeing, is that if they have really, truly taken a lot of space from you, okay, it depends how long they've walked away from you for, but regardless of that, the time away from you, essentially, by walking away, they have used that, you know, to really find themselves as well. Some of them may have used it, you know, for karmic situations and, you know, being involved in that, but really, truly, this is about them building that foundation. So they've been stuck in their own ways, and they've also had a lot of attraction towards you, but at the same time, they have felt very overwhelmed by this particular connection, and they thought maybe it's easier to walk away from it and maybe try something else. Now, in doing that and in walking away from the situation, they still are thinking about you. And that is what karmics also do. Okay, karmics make a person realize, okay, I'm not getting treated exactly the way I feel I should be treated. I don't necessarily feel that, okay, this is really working out. So the karmic situation is not going to work out, and it's just going to make this person realize that there was more stability and more of a foundation in the connection with you. That's what, I know it sounds complicated, I know it sounds crazy, but this is the thing. And say this person comes back around. It's your choice as to whether you want somebody new or you want to accept or reject this person. You know, that's what I'm seeing. So the Temperance card here really shows it's a matter of time before this person sort of comes back around. But the reason they walked away is because they do need some sort of more time. They want their own space at the same time as well. So they've left you in the cold here with the Five of Pentacles. There you are, out in the snow, out in the cold, feeling vulnerable, feeling left out, feeling alone. You know, there they are in the warmth of their own energy, doing their own thing, trying to understand situations, trying to, get a grasp of everything, and really just doing their own thing because they are so stuck in their own ways, and they're finding it hard to juggle this particular connection because of the intensity of it. Okay, there's a spiritual connection here. I feel like there's a lot of intensity, and they feel that it's easier to perhaps try something else. The minute they try something else, they're going to realize that actually, oh no, it was you all along. That was the right person. See? Ace of Swords. They've made that decision to sort of cut and walk away from this connection, but actually I feel like there's regret here with it as well. Essentially, they walked away from something really, really big, right? So why do they walk away? It's because this person really couldn't deal with the intensity of this connection. They wanted to do it all their own way. Well, they'll realise that they do have to. It takes two to tango in a situation. It can't just be one person making all the decisions. And that's what, they will realise, is that it actually takes two people to make the Ten of Cups work. And they walked away because they truly wanted to do and make all of these decisions their own way. They wanted things to work on their own time. They wanted things to work the way that they wanted it to work. And that's just not how a relationship works. So again, they was just really stuck in their own way of things and doing things their own way, especially in regards to how the connection works or how they could give you certain things. So the King of Pentacles is showing two things. First of all, it's showing that they really sort of wanted power in the situation. They wanted it to work the way that they wanted it to work. So you may have wanted something even stronger in the connection, but they may not have been able to give that as of yet because they do need some time to build on that. So we see that with the Page of Cups here. It just is not a very balanced emotion. They wanted to do things their own way, especially with this Queen of Swords. Making their own decisions, standing in power, controlling the situation as and how they want to, maybe not being so considerate of your feelings and your emotions, and they felt like, okay, well, maybe now the best thing really is to move on from this because it is just too much, it's too intense, it's not serving perhaps either of you in this situation. Maybe he or she, should I say, maybe he or she could give this to another person and see how it goes and how it works, and sort of compare both sort of situations and see how they do certain things versus how certain things happened in this situation, if that makes sense. So it really is about them sort of wanting to figure out whether this was really the right thing, and I feel like the intensity of this connection has led them to sort of to this, if that makes sense. But yeah, so why did this person essentially walk away? This person essentially walked away because they do need to become much more stable within themselves, and they need to understand that it takes two to tango, and that this was very, very special, and that even if they stay away from you in that sense, they're just going to get trapped in this karmic cycle because the universe is trying to get them to learn that they do have to be much more flexible, they do have to be much more understanding, they do need to get stronger in that sense, which they will, but they also need to take into consideration your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, which they really honestly didn't do. I feel like in many ways the universe is protecting you from this situation. I know it may seem like the universe is not protecting you, it may truly feel that way. It may really feel that way, that the universe really isn't there for you. But I feel like the universe has protected you in many ways by getting this person to walk away from you, because the more time they would have spent in this connection, the more I feel they would have wanted to dictate and just take over and do things their own way. And for some of you, it may be them sort of taking control of the situation, but maybe not giving you exactly what you truly deserve and what you want. And I feel like that would then become an extremely toxic situation. Okay, but I feel like this coldness that you feel will at some point end, because I see this person somehow coming back around and wanting to give you what you deserve, which is so bizarre and so strange. But it's what we're seeing on the cards, is that there is this regret, especially after having dealt with this whole karmic situation and realizing, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so perhaps uptight. Maybe I should be much more considerate of the other person. And this person still does think about you, but they're also really trying to get themselves much more balanced, because I feel like they couldn't handle the intensity of this particular connection. There's a very magnetic attraction, but at the same time, there is also this hot and cold energy, and they just felt like, okay, maybe I should explore this with somebody else so that I can see, what's happening, especially from this 4 to the 5. Even though, that's the 4 of Swords and this is the 5 of Pentacles, it's a different suit, you can see how it really relates from one card to the other. And I feel like emotionally this person is perhaps not the most sort of accepting person. Like, this person needs to definitely gain a lot more in terms of their emotional stability. That's what I'm seeing in the whole situation. I mean, this is complex. This may have confused you, but this is what I'm seeing, is that they walked away because they felt like essentially it was too much, and they feel all sorts of emotions. They just feel like, especially with this Ace of Wands, they feel like maybe they need to manifest other things and compare other things to realize exactly what it is that they essentially want. There is confusion around this, for sure, a lot of confusion, and that's essentially what I'm picking up, is that there's this energy of really thinking about things from 2 sides, if that makes sense. I mean, what an energy, right? What an energy. But group number 3, do not worry about this karmic. Do not keep yourself awake at night thinking about karmic. I want you to focus really heavily on yourself, because you have done nothing wrong in this situation. Nothing wrong. And it's just really important for you to know that sometimes, people are on different wavelengths and different pages, and it is, part of the universe protecting you from more hurt in the situation. So, pray to your angels and guides, or God, or whatever it is essentially that you believe in, and just know that you have been protected. And it may feel like the worst thing in the world for some of you, but just know that there is a blessing behind certain things, and anything that is meant for you in your life will never pass you by. And there are certain lessons and certain things that we do have to go through, and I think that this is definitely a lesson for the other person, and it's important for you to put that energy into yourself and to feel strong and confident in the kind of person that you are, because you do deserve that. And remember, always remember that your good karma will come to you. All right, it may be a matter of time, but your good karma will come, and it's good to trust the universe, trust the guides, trust yourself, your intuition, and just know that goodness will come. And remember, lightness will shine over darkness. All right, we have a dark sky, but the power of the sun shining on the moon makes us see that moon. Otherwise, in darkness, we wouldn't see it, but that's the power of light, and that's what I'm seeing. And you have that light within you, all right? And I'm really seeing that this is why he or she walked away, all right? Just a lot of intensity, a lot of, strong emotions, in the sense that, this person was just feeling so chaotic. They may not be emotionally the most stable person, but really this is what I'm seeing, all right? So this is your reading. So group number 3, this is your reading for why did he/she walk away from you? And if this resonates with you, please do let me know in the comment section below. So you can leave me a comment, if you would like to. You don't have to, but let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video by clicking on the thumbs up button, and do subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button, which is quite self-explanatory. But also do click on the bell notification next to the subscribe button so that you're notified every time I post new videos, it will go into your subscription box. Sometimes YouTube does this thing where even if you are subscribed to my channel, it won't actually put the videos into your subscription box unless you clicked on the bell notification. So make sure you do click on that, and that's all good. And yeah, do also check out the description box below for information on private paid readings if you'd like to win a free reading with me. All the information is definitely down there as well. And if you'd like to purchase a private paid reading, then all the information is there as well. They are done within 24 to 48 hours. And of course, the other thing I want to mention is that my intention bracelets are on Etsy, of course. So if you're interested in those, please do check out my Etsy store and all the reviews and all that good stuff. Also Patreon as well. Patreon is also listed down in the description box below. So on Patreon, I have exclusive content and videos that you won't find anywhere else. And also, if you want to write to me or anything like that, everything is in the description box below, as well as the cards that I use on my channel and all that good stuff. And I hope you have, just an absolutely lovely day or night wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, and please do take care of yourself. Bye!